We got a guy today back on Stevenson Ranch soil. It's a moving soil. It's a moving campus. But a guy that from somebody who's feels as though I'm slightly getting more and more disconnected from a lot that's happening on the social media landscape. Since our conversation, could easily say you're one of the closest people I follow just in the cyberspace realm of being more thoughtful about what frequency I'm trying to be on and the shit that I'm trying to consume. It's like a diet. We can get into that too, like the diet for your mind and your soul, and like it does something to people to see other people doing good. And I think in an era and a time where there is so much, I don't know, I wouldn't call it rubbish, but just like there's a lot of people going a lot of different ways with everything, and to be pointed and direct with what I'm consuming, you are on the menu, sir.
Appreciate it.
You're on the menu a lot, and I think the whole world, it's a testament to the platform you're building, and you guys are exceptional at building platform, which I think we can get into that in this conversation as well.
Haven't done nothing yet.
Yeah, and you
haven't done nothing
just getting
yet.
started. But you guys, it's obvious to someone who I understand platform and like what it takes, operations and just doing it right to engage people in a time where it's very hard to engage people. You guys clearly know what you're doing and learning on the fly, which I respect and I love about it too. But you guys are doing.
Just wait till you see what we're about to do.
Yeah, I mean we can get into it, whatever. But wanted to set this up with that. I mean, I think what you're doing, and since I've seen you, since you've been on this, I mean, dude, you've fucking exploded.
Bro, you too, fool.
In my own way, yeah, for sure.
Now, do you remember? I was wearing this jacket.
Were you?
I was wearing the same jacket.
I'm the same way. I'm always in the same shit.
And that was like a lucky day in my life.
Was it?
Like since then, it was interesting. That was right before COVID.
Yep.
That was literally, it was like the day before like Martin Luther King Day or something. Like,
yeah.
We did that interview and then COVID hit. And what was built out of that, because, people are going to either like take a situation and define it in their mind, but at the end of the day, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation, it is only what you say it's going to be. Like I take a COVID and the possibilities skyrocketed for me. And so I early into it decided I'm gonna make this a good situation. And I saw you did the same thing. Like we're in this house right now. And when you became like so mobile, like I think that was probably massive for your creativity. Just moving, everything in this universe is moving, and when you're sitting still, you feel like something's wrong. When we're on a rock flying through the universe at however many miles per hour, and so like when we feel stagnant, the creativity will sometimes stop immediately. And like there's this quote my friend said to me. He's like a Mayan like little guru, which is actually kind of interesting. He was my bus driver. He was poor, and he was my bus driver. But he told me this quote, and he said, "Even water, if it sits still, starts stinking." The purest thing, water is so pure, crazy. But if it just sits still, it will stink. So you could be the purest thing ever, but you just got to move. And the interesting thing about my little Mayan bus driver is he's richer than all of us combined now. Me, you, everybody in this room, all my business partners, he's richer than all of us. And he manifested so much money. It was a man he worked for. And it's just unbelievable. He was my bus driver 4 years ago, 2 years ago. And the guy he worked for died and left him all his money. And I was like, okay, like you get those little reminders of how magical this world is.
Yeah. It's funny you just said the word magic. I've been talking with somebody that's grown dearly close to me in the past few years about magic and just in a world where everything feels so solid, and I feel so solid in this body, separate of his body and her body and yours, and to remind yourself about the actual sheer magic that just being here is, and it's why I choose to live the way I live. I mean, granted, it took years to be able to do it. But at the same time, like, I just started to open my eyes more and more to the magic. And when you get to see new things, you touched on a lot in what you just said, and I'll try to corral them. But this whole idea of stagnation and neuroplasticity of the mind, and as simple as taking a different route to work every day, you know, like trying to make sure that you're out of the subconscious and you're in the conscious, you're in your heart, you know what I mean? And you're constantly kind of absolving, taking in, or just simply observing, giving one moment to just be like, whoa, that sunset looks like art, you know, like, and it really is super, super challenging to be boots on ground, you know, as you know, more than anyone really, like, fucking really trying to do a bunch of shit. Like doing a bunch of shit, which is really a huge part of being alive, is doing. But we're human beings too. We're not human doings. You know, it's like when you're doing so much, you have to find the place, and you have to find your center and just being. And you know, there's so much moving around in our world, but for whatever reason, you know, your friend is a good example. Like, I'm finding, similar to him, when I just stay put and be, you know, there's so much you can do from that seat. And it actually is the yin to the yang of doing, is being. And for somebody who's doing so much, I wanted to dive into this. This is, you know, one of the first things I really wanted to talk about was just when you're doing so much for everybody else, you know, you're great at social media and how you're doing it all, but even shedding light on yourself and like how you kind of have these ebbs and flows of forgetting about yourself totally, you know, and to your health, to just how you feel, your mental state, whatever it may be. For somebody who's doing so much for everybody else, I mean, I would guess, sitting from where I'm sitting and knowing you, that's probably your biggest challenge, is kind of taking care of you know, your center and your soul, and I want to shed a little bit of light on that, because I think you are an extreme example of service and doing for others, but I do feel like everyone at some level feels this way, whether it's not feeling like they're doing, you know, whether it's their job or their family or whatever their role is in their lives, to be able to carve out what it takes to be able to take care of yourself.
So I think, like, the first thing is, like, if somebody follows me and sees that I like struggle with something, like how they, like, when I see them, like, if, like, for example, like, since the last time I was on this podcast, I think I'm up almost 50 pounds, and that's with like every day being on a diet. So like I lose battles, and I've noticed, like, if I say I'm struggling with something, you know, like, I'm honest, like, I don't even call it vulnerable. I just say I'm, like, honest. Like, it's like, right. I'm not even, like, you can see it. It's not even right. Like I have to say it. It's just I do say it. Yeah. But then, like, when I see somebody in person, they'll be like, are you okay? Are you doing okay? And I just think about it like, I'm great. Like, this is practice. Everything I'm trying to do is practice. And Allen Iverson's voice is playing in my head as I say
talking about practice.
Practice. No, it's literally like practice, because I'm young, and if I like zoom out and think about like people who have legacy, like their legacies are usually really defined like when they're like old. Like when you think about, you know, Gandhi, or you think about like, you know, Martin Luther King, he was still relatively young, but like he was grown. But it's like, I'm young, so I'm practicing right now how to be of service to others while still trying to figure out this thing called life. and like taking care of myself, but like every day I inch closer to the homeostasis that I'm searching for. But like I don't look at it as a bad thing. Like if anything, I'll find gratitude in it and be like, okay, like if God wanted me to like struggle with my weight, then okay, that humanizes me. I think about like a Oprah. She's very humanized because of that. Like your imperfections are literally the things that really will give you an advantage in life. Now, do I want to stay overweight? No.
Right.
But like I wake up and try every day to figure out how to give to myself. And when I do figure it out, I will be unlocked on another level. But until then, it's a gift. It's a gift for myself to be challenged, because secretly and maybe subconsciously, I do like challenges. But maybe, you know, God had a path for me that was really supposed to truly inspire. And I can't be inspired if, you know, Kim Kardashian looks perfect. Like, obviously that's aspirational. But like, if I saw, you know, somebody like struggle, you know, and then overcome, then I'm like, all right, that's a gift.
It's a fact. When you're leading from the front, but it's also, I mean, I'm just such a fan of you and we're friends, but even for me, somebody like, just to see people, you know, working on things, the work in progress, really, we all feel like work in progress is really in one way, shape or form. So it's just another way of like, really what's your mission is, there's such a relatability to it all, and this is just a cog in that system. Like, but if you also think about it, I'm here to give you some fresh perspective.
I like fresh perspective.
You think about everything you've done from that seat of disadvantaged health. You know, like I put it in air quotes because it is technically. You know, I know I pay attention, so I know there's certain things about the ecosystem of your body, genetically or whatever it may be, things you're trying to iron out, but think about what that disadvantage has kind of led to. Being, you got your start, you know, we can touch on your past. There's so much happening in your present. We'll probably stay there mainly, but just your past to get you to your present and where you are and what you're doing now, the abilities you have.
Yep.
There's so much that was cultivated and grown from that seed of like, fuck this, I'm gonna change my life, and I'm saying it. And I bet there's some shame in you, or the hard part of it is like, you feel like you conquered it and then you're taking steps backwards. Meanwhile, you're being celebrated and followed all over the world while you're doing this other thing, but you also for yourself want to get back there. There's all these challenges in it, right? But really, like, it's an important part. It's an important piece to the puzzle for you, where it's like where you're like really where a lot of your power started.
Absolutely.
So much power in what you did. You know, absolutely. Like the whole Nike campaign, obviously beautiful and well put, but look what's transpired since. Like there's so much that's come from just your soul. You're doing, I mean, Steve's very needy right now. You're doing shit like, I was excited to have this conversation because I'm just going to could you tell me how it is? A lot of times guys like us don't necessarily, you know, when you're part of the art, it's like somebody's looking at the art and looking at its beauty, but you're actually in the frame. And it's hard to see from that perspective, but you could stop right now, tomorrow. Absolutely. And you've already done more than so many people. I mean, you said before, I don't know if we were filming, you're like, oh, I'm jealous of your life. Like, I'm jealous of your life, bro, because there's nothing more powerful than what you're doing. It really is. And I try to channel that energy into my music and my art, and I think that's where I've, you know, probably taken big steps forward when I stopped making songs from a place of ego, look at me, to thinking about maybe the service element of it and how it can make people feel. And there's benefits to making those cocky songs that get people fired up. I think that's why hip hop is so big nowadays, because it gives you an energy. You're fucking throwing around some weight, or you're going for a long run.
It takes you somewhere.
It takes you the energy of like, fuck with the, I know people get hung up on the lyrics of nowadays rap, but it's the fucking energy, bro. It's a vibration.
100%.
Talking about literal vibration, and putting you in a different state to go and achieve things.
And that's the thing, that different state. When like you said it, like music, especially hip hop, takes you somewhere. All music does.
Yeah.
Hip hop has a crazy range though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I listen to Maroon 5, I'm really going to probably like one place.
Right.
You know, a hip hop artist can take you multiple different places. Yeah. You know, when I'm in a business mode.
And we're talking to a hip hop guy.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, very quickly, like that's where you got your start. And it's really, really quite an epic story you got so far, you know. But I don't want to cut off your thought.
It's the preseason though.
Yeah, I don't want to cut. No, but yes.
Listen, I'm coming here to sit on this couch right here, and I'm declaring to you, to me, to the universe, and anybody watching, we ain't done nothing yet.
Yeah, no.
This is literally, and I know you're in a very see what I like about where you're at, because I know where you're at. You're receiving right now. You're receiving a lot. You're getting downloads, and it's attracting, and you're in this very like theta state.
Yeah.
You're in a theta state. You're reading. You got all these new brain cells firing off, and it's like grounded you. And that's like, you know, there's seasons for everything. And you'll get as much work done in that state as somebody who is like in a very like almost like alpha state right now, like a go, like a conquer state. Both are important.
Yeah.
We'll both get the same thing done
right
now. But bro, I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, everything I've done, Grammy, Emmys, Nike, all this, everything I've built so far, it's all the preseason. Like we haven't even, actually it might not even been the preseason, bro. I might still be driving to the gym. Like we haven't even started the first game of the preseason yet. Like we are still just practicing. But bro, like I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to shift culture in any way. When I came into the hip hop business, we shifted everything. Everything. Because we ushered in, me and Soulja Boy, we ushered in the viral era of hip hop. Like to where like, you know, the gatekeepers started crumbling upon our entrance into the kingdom.
And here I am reaping the benefits of what you started.
You're doing an amazing job. Like, bro, like there's so many, like one, you inspire me so much.
Likewise, brother.
Because you've actually broken down something probably intentionally, but I don't know if you realize what you've done to the full extent. But bro, you've broken down the 3 C's so beautifully. Like when you're building something that shifts the game, and when I got to go to your concert and see the physical manifestation of what you've created, it's like you think about a church, the most powerful thing, movement that like changes lives and like people feel part of it. And it's like church has it figured out.
Right.
They really did. Like it's scalable. It's like, you know, they figured it out. But the church has 3 C's. The very first thing is the culture, like what it stands for. Like you do that. And I don't know how intentional it is, but the you ready, the hey, how you doing? The whole just like ethos of like, just like this culture of what it is to be a Steve. Then it has the kind of like the Bible, which is like the content, the learning aspect, right? Like you have a podcast where people can learn and improve their lives. That's what a church has with like a Bible. Yeah. You know, like you have this culture, what it stands for, no matter what religion it is. Let's use Christianity or Buddhism. You have the culture of what it stands for. Then you have like that learning aspect, that content aspect. And then you have the communion, the community, like going to the concert and being able to go to that, kind of meet and greet at the beginning. Yeah. And for people to be able to have the culture. Yeah. The culture. Like that's part of the culture, the clothing line. Absolutely. And to be able to call people Steve, that's culture. That's the first C, like the culture. You've broken it down so beautifully. But then you've got your actual church, which is the concerts that people can commune at. And bro, you've done it so beautifully. And that's why it works. And you're really, in my opinion, writing a blueprint. You're writing a blueprint that is, what's crazy about it is stuff I've done my whole life, but you've done it better than me. I don't know about that. And so when I go to your concert, I'm like the whole time, Neve, when we were at the concert, the whole time, I didn't even smile. I was sitting there like this, And I was like locked in, and I was like soaking up the energy. And I'm like, bro, this is so inspirational. I'm telling my business partner, bro, I'm inspired. But that wasn't a concert. I can go to another artist concert and I hear songs.
Yeah.
You had the 3 C's. You had literally like the fact that you call your fans Steves, like you're writing the blueprint. And I don't know if these other folks even get it. They don't even know how to connect the dot. It's like people might go read a book, for example, on how to build a movement. Mm-hmm. But they might be a fan of yours, and they're not connecting the dots that you literally wrote it out exactly to the T.
It's interesting. Like, we had a conversation in the backstage at that concert. You've always just gotten it. Like, when we send, you send messages. There's a divine timing to it. A lot of my relationships, I've really narrowed down my relationships. Like, there's been a lot of people I could have podcasts with. I see you're in Malibu, I hit you immediately. There's certain people that I feel connected to in a certain frequency, and I just, I think none of that is coincidental. Obviously, it's all written, and it's how you use those tools. But you've always said things at the right time to me, and I try to do the same thing for you, obviously. But you said something there where it reminded me again how much you obviously have your own ventures, and what you're doing is no one's doing. But the fact that it's so obvious that you understand what I'm doing, which not many people do, you know what I mean? And again, to your point, some of it is a divine timing thing. Like, I've been doing this for 11 years, and now I might be in a position where they're like, oh, this guy's kind of a genius. Like, he's got it figured out, because some things out externally that out of my control, like the record industry is crumbling, slowly but surely because of the way the world has shifted. I mean, when I started, I think it was just Twitter. I was Twitter and YouTube. I was uploading to YouTube. I was a YouTuber before YouTubers. Mm-hmm. We were making vlogs. You talk about the culture. Mm-hmm. Steve's ready for your pets now. But I mean, think about how much Spotify wasn't even a thing yet. I was uploading to iTunes. Yeah. So much has gone our way. My point is, a lot of it's, out of my control, but it's also somebody who kind of like opened my eyes to quantum. Steve, relax, buddy.
I'm just so glad needy. That you decided not to, because I remember there was a time we messaged each other and you were extremely frustrated. Like, you used to have a lot of pain and frustration, bro, and to be able to sit in front of you and you got your little leg crossed and my man is sitting here. That's what money looks like. But it really looks like what like empowerment looks like. Because I've always had such a soft spot for where an artist is, because so much of an artist's life relies upon like a man controlling, and in some cases a female, but like an executive controlling this person's life.
I know,
and that's a scary thing.
I was in that position a little bit, just like when I know at the time we're talking about. When we initially started having real conversations about this,
but you told me, you were like, but I can't get on a playlist. Like, I can't get it out.
When was this?
I can tell you exactly where I was standing. We had a conversation right at dusk. I was at the base of Runyon Canyon. You were wanting to sign a deal. Yep. And I talked to you for maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I was just like, bro, please. I was like begging you, please, like,
drop the music.
And boy, did you, God dog. But you didn't just drop the music, you built a culture that is so inspiring, because people need to do what you did this past year. I remember where I was exactly. Like, this is the thing. I can remember everything when it comes to you. And I don't know how. But I remember the exact place I was when you dropped Life Got Crazy. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of the moment I heard the first, like, 10 seconds of that record. The intro on, what was Drake's first mixtape? So Far Gone? Yeah, So Far Gone. And when I heard it, like Drake, because his first mixtape was trash. Like, I mean, it was good. He had a couple records on there, like Closer to My Dreams, but it was all over the place. Literally all over the place. I felt sorry for him. He was experimenting. But it's just like, man, this dude's all over the fucking place. But then when I heard that, like, kind of like 40, like ambient, like sound, the second So Far Gone, you play it, and I was like, like, I remember. I was like, he found it. Within seconds, he found it. Something aligned. And then when I heard Life Got Crazy, I was like, oh, he found it. Like within seconds. I was in Arizona, and ever since, what you've done in a year is a testament. And I wish somebody would like speak about it, like, and like do a case study on your past year, the way they do case studies on Mr. Beast or on whoever. You know, there's like, you've written a book. Like they do it with Russ, and Russ's play was pretty simple, but Russ did not do the 3 C's the same way you have. Like, bro, you've literally, and it's early.
It's smaller scale than the guys you mentioned, like Mr. Beast or even Russ. And, you know, can it go to the next and the next and the next? Yes. Will it? I'm gonna go as far as I wanted to go. I will say this, you know, you kind of talked about like my presence now, and I know you've been in, you know, you've been around a lot of people doing a lot of cool shit. I think more than anything, and this is kind of my favorite part about you, I remember you literally running over to my whiteboard in my first house and like explaining via like a little demo art thing you were making, like a model of quantum, you know, quantum physics, and like it kind of opened my eyes to something that I had brushed over but not really believed in. And it's hilarious. I believe, like, you know what I mean? And for whatever, you know, I think all this success that's happened since you've seen me and what you're talking about, it's been achieved from a place of like, man, I'm getting to each day, like I think I'm getting to a more peaceful place, and my energy is so clean. Like I've stopped partying. I'm not doing it. You know, I've created boundaries for the first time in my life.
How did you do with that while you were on tour though? Was that a derailment from this energy, or was tour?
You gotta get Steve out. He's acting a fool. From a place of peace, I've kind of realized that when I'm at my center and I'm cutting out the noise more and more and more every day, the scaling, it's just like part of it. Scaling, and yes, there's a ton of doing, there's a ton of operations. A lot of it for me is I'm now at a point where I'm bringing new players in to be my back office, to help me on the logistics side. That was taking a lot of my energy. When I was very frustrated, so there was a lot of things going into that. We're kind of scaling all these businesses, and I didn't have enough players, and I didn't feel like I had enough capital to have the right players. But it's all back from this place of like receiving, you know, and
But a few months ago, like 6 months ago, I texted you. I was like, bro, you're about to have a massive year. Boom, you're going to have, you know, top 10. And you were like so like Zen, Buddha. You were like, well, if it's meant to be, that's not even what I'm seeking. I'm sitting here like, I get it, but like, come on, man, fuck that. You know, like I wanted to argue back, but I had to respect the fact you were in such a peaceful place. Yeah. But the reality is, like, you are going to get everything without it even being, you know, because it's written. Like, I hope you don't lose that fire ever. But like, there is like a part of like, you know, when an artist gets to a certain place, I don't ever want you to, bro, I'll just keep it all the way funky. If somebody's the best in the world, they push humanity forward. Period. Because people can't do something until they see somebody else do it. Yeah. That, like, when they build the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, that's going to just take somebody and be like, I'm going to beat it. Like that's totally what every single thing on this planet is built off of, is just somebody doing something that hasn't been done. And I think you have an amazing opportunity to do it. Whether that makes you happy or not, I don't know. but like your peace and like.
I agree with you. I will say this. Everyone's their own individual. I have all my best, closest friends who are doers and do amazing things. No matter how spiritual they are, they kind of say the same thing to me, like you're just getting fucking started, bro. You know what I mean? Where the one thing I haven't really said this before. Man, I fucking went down to the beach yesterday and hysterically cried by myself. Just like meditating and just like, I'm getting to levels of peace that I didn't know even existed. You know what I mean? So you can tell me like you can do this and you can do that, but, and I agree,
but
right?
What brought you that peace?
Right. I agree that what you just said about pushing humanity forward, it's almost like, and you'll hear me toggle between the two, because I got here by being a doer. And I was just a hustler, and I was like, fuck you, I don't care if anyone gets it, I'm gonna do it. And that's how I got here. Now, toggling between finding this peace and serenity, but also doing from, kind of what I'm trying to say is like, I feel like I'm finding a way of doing it from this space.
That's nice.
And, you know, we talked about it, we walked around the house, like, man, I feel so good not caring about what anyone else thinks. I feel so good about not caring about going to the party or going to the thing I got invited to. I have completely unplugged from that part of entertainment. I don't go, you won't see me anywhere. I don't go to shit. And it's because I don't feel fulfilled by it, and I actually feel distracted by it. So what I'm toggling between, and I think it's part of my innovation, is the new age artists and creating from a place where, yes, I think I've done a lot of the legwork, and there's probably a lot more to do to continue to be able to scale it, right? But I have a vision for this where I'm able to create from an extremely peaceful place. And I guess what is most enticing to me about it is I love the feeling of kind of eliminating my ego more and more. I do. It just makes me feel good, you know? Like, I don't necessarily feel fulfilled by like, you know, the social check marks of like, yo, do you see what Mike's doing? Like, and it does make me feel good coming from people like you saying the things you're saying. It makes me feel good, for sure.
Listen, there's gonna be 99% of people who don't get it, and they might even still think you have ego. But when you do something and you're great, which you are in your greatness right now, it's going to inspire somebody to do it. And it is important. Now, I will say this, as peaceful as you are, do not take for granted this. Because your fire and your frustration when you weren't able to be peace, your peace, a lot of it, bro, is coming from not being in scarcity mode anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surely.
So let's be careful what we're telling, you know, that there are chapters. You know, if there's somebody young here, it's like, okay, I'm in a peaceful state. How did I get here? Why it's important to have this certain mentality I had here. Let's appreciate the anger that you had, because that anger is very important.
It is.
Just like your peace is very important.
Absolutely.
Like obviously everybody will praise like a God and be grateful for a God, but you have to be grateful for the darkness too.
Absolutely.
You gotta respect the bumblebee as much as you respect the butterfly. Like, okay, bumblebee, like, all right, don't mess with me. Like, I see you, boom. So the bad stuff is great.
Yeah.
The good stuff is great. And me coming from music, and obviously, you know, you've been doing it 11 years. When somebody falls off, because maybe they got comfortable, or maybe they took it for granted, or they didn't think they could be replaced, but people's ears change.
Absolutely.
So never lose the anger inside of you and fully become 1,000% monk.
I know exactly what you're saying. I guess if that ever does happen, it will be it will be a choice. Like, just to give you an insight into my days. I work every single fucking day, all the time.
Absolutely.
I love it. It makes me feel alive, and I won't stop until that goes away.
Good.
So when I ever do stop, it will be because that no longer serves me. But I'll be honest, bro, like, I actually have visions and dreams of escalating my service.
Okay.
So
what you mean?
What I mean by that is, yeah, I think there's definitely a service to creating art. Like, I've been moved. I posted about it yesterday. Like, there was a story my friend posted about. He was literally like depressed, losing his family and his children, and fucking, he was in his bed for 48 hours, and then he turned on the TV, and it was the middle of Rocky 4 or something, and like, he's just getting his ass kicked. And like, the art form of it literally lifted him to the point where he went on and he's never looked back. And the power in that is real. I've been moved by various forms of art. So I understand the value in what I'm doing, and I do actually come from a place of service when I'm creating. I do.
Yeah.
Now, when I say escalating service, I just feel as though if I get to a point, you know, and it won't really happen unless I start to feel less inclined to get in front of a studio and pour my heart out, because that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Like, it's just, I haven't written a lyric in I don't even know how long. Like, it just comes out. Now, if that ever stops, it will be because I feel as though there's more service in a maybe a different form. Now, I don't know what that is, but I'll tell you right now, like, there's been parts of me I was in Scottsdale at one point, struggling with balancing a new spiritual. I got so sparked by spirituality, and it's not like religion, or it's like literally what we're talking about, like the magic of life. Like, I like saw it one day, and I was like, what am I doing? You know, I wasn't even. So I remember when we were talking, I was in Scottsdale, and you were out doing this shit, and I think it was COVID. And I was like, I just want to come out there and be around that energy. And like, I almost did at some point, which we ended up getting one of our first missions together off, which we can touch on. But there's parts of what you do that I want to do. And I don't know what it would look like quite yet, but whether it's just fucking giving you funds, or whether it's me doing X amount.
You know what it could be? I've always wanted to do this because I mentor a lot of artists, but man, it's almost like the survival, like Maslow's hierarchy, like for an artist. Like, the very first thing is like home, right? So like recording space. Remember when you just needed a place to record, and it's just like I just need a place, like so bad.
Yeah.
I want to come up with an initiative. I want to give out more like studio in a boxes than anybody on planet Earth. I just want to, like, people don't need to be in a studio. No. I own the biggest studio in Atlanta. Not necessary at all. Studio in a box, like when we're recording with Kanye West, we're literally right here with the little, like...
You saw my setup down there.
Setup down there, like on a... Like, like that's where hits are made. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is I don't know if this has ever been talked about, but I have a philosophy, and I'm curious what you think since you're tapped in. You know how when a baby is born, it's the second it's born is when the personality is defined by the stars and everything, and but it's the second they're born is what determines what it is. Do you believe a song is totally different in the studio versus the second it's born into the world? Is that what determines if it's a hit? Is the second it's born? Does it change complete shape?
I have, for me, my gut reaction to that is it's born once it's like, it's a physical thing, or not physical, that wouldn't be the right term, but once
but
it's
a baby is physical in the womb. True. It's physical. True. I'm gonna tell you why I think this. Just to
so what
add.
You think it's?
I had the biggest song of Travis Porter's career was a song that we hated so much. And
which one was it?
I'm gonna tell you. We disliked it so much that one of the group members, Ali, didn't even get on it. And we were throwing throwaway records out to just different artists who wanted to put songs on their mixtapes, and we just like, little throwaway. We'll just send that to Tiger. And Tiger put a verse on and put it out without our permission. He didn't tell us he was putting it out. And like one of the group members wasn't even on it because we didn't like it. And it was "Hey ladies, okay now ladies," and that song became a totally different song versus what we heard in the studio. And there were songs we heard in the studio, plenty of songs, most 90% of the songs we think is a smash mega hit in the studio. When we put it out, it's just like people are like.
So you're saying that once it hits the public, it can take on its own life?
I mean, I wonder if songs have anything to do with the freaking Zodiac.
Could.
Where the stars the second this was born.
So this isn't like a direct answer to that, but really what I was kind of circling around when I talk about productivity from this seat of receiving. I mean, I don't even believe the ideas are mine necessarily, if that makes any sense. Like I want to say you've said this in podcasts a long time ago. Some of the shit I originally saw from you was like the antennas and like receiving and like where are they coming from? Like sometimes I'll have like only Steve's. It's my biggest business, right? It was a fucking shower thought. I was in the shower. And it was during COVID.
It hit you.
Yeah, and it just hit me. Now, why? What was that mine or where did it come from? And I became fascinated with that idea. And what I have really come to learn and realize and believe is the more and more I can clear up my frequency with tons of space for new ideas. And allowing the ideas to come through me. Now, to your point of like, Zodiac and like the stars being tied to it. I mean, when I talk about clearing my frequency for people who like aren't really on this wave yet or don't understand, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have heard some version of this type of dialogue, but I'm talking about literally waking up and watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, going out, spending some time with the stars, talking about journaling. I'm talking about meditating, finding your center. You need to cut it off? Get closer. I'm talking about all these things, which Zodiac, we're talking about connection to nature, and maybe the special ones are made right in that perfect time where that idea radiates right to you and it comes out exactly how it was supposed to. Now, all my stuff is no longer thought out. There is no human thought to it. Like I don't get in my head about it. I'm like, what is this? Are people gonna like this? Like what? Fuck that shit, bro. I don't subscribe to that. And the songs that take off, I mean, dude, it's like it's actually hilarious. You compared it to giving birth because like once the kid's out, I'm on to the next one.
But like, you want to know what's interesting about the kid analogy? Is like you can channel and release when it feels exactly right. Like the mother gives birth. It's not executive saying, nope, we're waiting 2 weeks. It might mess up the whole damn thing.
And like you are a person who like, just as we were turning the corner to come sit here, you're like kind of giving me shit, like start putting music out again. You know what I mean? But there's also an intuitiveness to my, everything is intuition for me. It's all I got. I've never had anyone tell me what to do, when to do. Now, you've been one of the guys, and there are a few people that like, I'll be like, yep, hell yeah, I should. They're right. You know what I mean? Like it was a little nudge to do.
I'll tell you, I'll break down from the fan's perspective, me just genuinely being a fan.
Yep.
Like the non-magical side of just eating food, which is your music is like food for us.
Yeah, don't starve them.
So if like I literally and bring in artists on under you actually helped us a lot, because when it was time for you to kind of pull back a little bit, there was another little like sister restaurant we could eat at to keep us in the ecosystem. And it's very important to stay in the ecosystem because right now you're starving me, so I'm finding myself over in the Anise restaurant right now. He's starting to feed. And I'm like, somebody's making their move. Oh, he went and got little Scooter Braun. He's writing some fucking smashes. I'm like in the network now. I'm listening to the radio. Now I'm listening to the other artists. So I'm kind of stuck there. And for a while, you had me and every last one of your freaking fans there. You're able to build a multi-million-dollar empire. off of it in a very short period of time with us coming to a restaurant. It tasted delicious. I brought some friends with me.
Yep.
And the food came out on time. The check came out on time. The water came out on time.
Which makes it all a better experience.
The Yelp reviews are good.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I'm going to keep coming. And you brought some new flavors, had a new little seasonal menu, had a little chef special. You literally did everything right to where I'm going to keep coming. And then, you might say, okay, we're going to go a little exclusive right now. New season coming soon. So I have to eat at other restaurants. But then it's also like, when's my man going to open this thing back up? Because we want it.
I know exactly. I agree with you. 100%.
And you've written the blueprint on how to do it, but you're at that moment right now where we're like, bro, don't make me go over here and stay over here.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows if you miss a few times, it now becomes a and for you it might be different because you are so tapped in. But for a normal artist, it becomes what Roddy Ricch is having to do, which I think he's doing an amazing job. You got to get in the boxing ring and you got to start throwing a ton of fucking punches because you don't know where you're going to hit.
You're hitting it spot on. And I don't know if I even finished my thought. The sister restaurant is calling.
Sister restaurant.
Skis is calling. We're working on a new menu for the sister restaurant as well. But no, you're hitting it spot on. And I was talking about a point earlier. We'll get to you told me backstage about something, but you've always understood it and you're hitting it spot on. Now, I'm the head chef, right? So to me, when you talk about scaling and you talk about as more and more consumers are ready to eat, I also need to know, and I think I'm extremely dialed in right now, and more so than ever, just to I also have to honor the art of the meal. What the fuck do I want this meal to be? What do I want it to taste like? What do I want it to make you feel like after you walk out? Are you bogged down? Does it digest well? And it takes time and effort and patience. And let's put it this way. I could not create any more music and I could put out a song every other week for the next 5 years that I like a lot. Now, the way I'm creating, there's a bit of a challenge that I face because, bro, I do it all myself from recording to producing to picking which melodies are going which riffs we're choosing on guitar, which drums, what I want to say exactly. Right now, at every time, I'm working on 7 to 10 songs at once, and I'm literally intuitively like, ooh, I feel drawn to finish this one, or let's open this one up. I have a new idea on this one today, and I'm moving everything piece by piece forward and forward. Now, it's a long-winded way of saying I'm gearing up for my best menu yet. You know what I mean? And it takes a little time to go back, and you actually got to go out and leave the restaurant, go find the best ingredients the world has to offer. And I'm finding the best organic, natural, make you feel amazing ingredients and making my own version of my favorite dishes. You know what I mean? So
don't make the same mistake that I made, please.
What is that?
So 2 Chainz's first album came out, and we knew where the target was because we had dropped 4 mixtapes. It wasn't a guessing game. It just wasn't. It was more so pure servitude. We knew exactly what the fans wanted, so I'm gonna give them exactly what they wanted. It fucking worked. And then we go away because we are experts at making music, and we're going to go be experts and craft this thing that we believe, because we are being screamed at and said, oh, you're so good, you're so good. So you actually start believing how good you are. Yeah. And in reality, the chef has to give the people what they want. For example, if I were to have a conversation with Taylor Holder right now, who can sing his ass off, I'd make a simple dumb song. Let me not dumb as in dumb, but dumbed down. When I think of Ed Sheeran's Shape of You, which has how many billion streams, it's the simplest fucking song. He's not even singing. He's just love in the shape of you, push and pull like a magnitude. I'm in love with your body. Like, that's it. Like, go make a simple ass song that the people want. Don't try to make the world-renowned chef meal.
No, I can tell you right now, I'm not.
Okay, thank God.
At all.
Lord
like,
Jesus.
it's not even close to that. It's more so like, I want to exercise. I'm exercising. Like, okay, yesterday, I freestyled 4 songs back to back, and I fuck with them all. I fuck with them all heavy. I made them in 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
I'm censoring you getting fired up right now, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm censoring a little fire.
Yeah, no, but like, I really am on a wave. I really do feel dialed in and on a wave. Now, there's a bit of logistic battles that I face. I'd say it's my biggest, it's not even a battle. Okay. The biggest reality of what I face is, and it's not even really a challenge. It's more so just like, the execution of the songs, right? Getting them from idea and then produced out and done, right? It's just like, the only thing that's truly time consuming. It's also probably the way it has to be, because I'm literally making it in my bedroom, and it's not something where I'm going to send it out and get it worked on. Like, I'm doing it all, you know? So with all the ideas I make, I'm actually like, creatively, I think, hands down at my best. Now, getting them all from ideation to execution to packaging out and how to do it is also something I follow my intuition on, but it takes that savage that you talk about, like the doer, the guy that's like, I got to execute these I got so many great ideas that are at 70% that need to get to 100. And it takes a little bit of the tediousness of doing it all. Yeah, and doing it all myself, more or less, which is not a complaint, because it's the only way this music would sound the way it does, is if I'm
only request is, it's probably always been that way, because it's what you do, and you've been doing it. The recipe tastes good.
Yeah, feed them.
Just feed us.
The fans are gonna love this.
Now, one other thing I will add to your to-do list. Even Jay-Z had a whack sophomore album. Probably the worst sophomore album. Roddy Ricch, we just watched him. None of us are invincible.
I won't be one of those guys. No way.
Because I consider Haas.
Yeah.
I consider you going into sophomore now.
Yeah.
Like, even though you've
I agree.
done this forever.
Yeah.
But the second ingredient I would add, just from, non-magical Charlie, just the music guy. Bro, if I were you, go get you a stupid house in freaking Buckhead. Go get the biggest house in Buckhead in Atlanta. And go give this sauce to some people, because they need you. Like, for example, right now, ever since the pandemic, I can name like 2 or 3 songs that are like sticky smashes, which I've never seen a desert in music like this.
It is.
And it's unbelievable that, like, people can't find a record. People cannot find a record. And I'm talking about the goats of all goats. Like, from like a Kendrick to a J. Cole to even Drake's last album. Like, literally music desert, not water in sight. But then you had a Kodak Black who like had a Super Gremlin. He's like sticking. Like, he's found sticky. You see Roddy Ricch struggling. You see Travis Scott struggling. You see everybody trying to find where it is, and you actually know where it is. That's the crazy thing. But the world you're in is like a different planet than the other one, and they need you. So one of the things I would tell you is, I would go give people the sauce. You're this chef, you got this food truck, and it's booming and it's bunking. But just imagine if...
It's interesting. I don't really think about it at all, but I would.
Atlanta's a powerful place. So I'll tell you a story about a powerful place, like even just like music, energy, frequency wise.
Yeah.
Like YG. So when I did the Macadelic tour, YG and Travis Porter were opening up. YG was in a minivan the whole tour, like literally in a minivan. And we did another tour and YG was in a minivan. I forgot which tour that was. But like, even early, like Travis Porter days, it was always Travis Porter and YG fighting for the MySpace top spot for unsigned artists. And he struggled for like 8-9 years, but he had a little fan base, but like could never break through. And he decided to go to Atlanta for 1 month. And what came out of it? My hitter, my hitter, my hitter. And now we got YG. Take your butt to Atlanta for half a second. Like, I'm not even talking about a long time.
Yeah.
1 month. Give the sauce out a little bit. Just a little bit. And just watch what happens. Because never underestimate. There's somebody who's performed at the Super Bowl twice in 5 years. And his name is Bruno Mars. It's all because he gave a little Atlanta artist from Decatur, Georgia, a hook. B.O.B. He gave him a hook. Bruno Mars did not exist. He gave B.O.B. the sauce. And Bruno Mars became one of the top 5 icons of our entire generation musically. Songwriter, performer, everything, the whole thing.
Yeah. See, I would. I just go where, like, to me, it's never been about anyone else celebrating me or even being on other artists or people's radar. I mean, I'm literally in my crib making shit. And obviously it goes out into the ethos, which is an unlimited ethos of the ether of the e-space where anyone can find it. And if people hollered at me and wanted it, I would, but I also don't, I've never been drawn to it, nor, I don't know, I just go down in my basement and make records, or go out onto my wherever the hell I'm making it. But you know what I mean? But I really would.
What if I could sit here and tell you, like, we were in like some like Lord of the Rings type movie, and I would look at you and tell you, you could save the game.
I would.
You don't, like, you're the one. Like, not a one. You're the one, and you could save the game, but you have to, like, do some things that aren't in your little village.
Yeah.
The hero's journey, you leave the village a little bit.
Yeah.
But if somebody were to tell you, if Gandalf were to tell you, you're the one. Because I genuinely think your songwriting ability, your talent, your mind, your fans, every single thing you've built, you could genuinely be the one. As much as sometimes being the one is not even about you and your happiness. It's about other people. And your fans right now are like feeling me. They're like, bro, let's fucking go. We always knew he was the one. Go. Give the songs out. Put out the music. I'm telling you, Neve is a real fan.
Yeah.
Real fan. Knows every song. Can sing it backwards. Every song. Can sing them backwards.
I love that.
The whole ecosystem. But it's like you're happy, stay in your happy place.
Yeah,
but also
I hear what you're saying. Though.
Save the game.
Okay.
We only have this one life. Might as well live the most interesting one we could live.
Yeah.
And you got here and you're doing it. And look at this house this preseason house. And I know you're not doing it for the house, but it's like literally like you're able to find a way to live a happy life while inspiring. And you have inspired me and every single person watching this.
Thank you, brother.
And you got here by frustration and peace. And that's a very, very important combination.
Yeah.
So don't forget the frustration.
I love everything you're saying, and it's all accurate. I've never, ever will or have forgot the frustration. I channel it extremely well, I believe. And if you think about the narrative of what I'm trying to say is like,
what are you frustrated with right now?
The highs, the lows, the in-betweens is this picture I'm painting. It's really the main messaging of keep going. For me is the lows are as essential as the highs. You don't have the lows without the highs. You don't have the highs without the lows. And the in-betweens, everything in between it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the messaging of it all. And as far as personal frustration now, there's less of it, but I've also had real personal, it's a beautiful thing that's being born and bloomed in my life.
Okay.
But it's completely off the record.
Okay.
And it's had challenges embedded in it that have been so big and so challenging and gut-wrenching at times, even harder than any of the challenges before or the frustrations that you know, bigger than that, like life.
So you are dealing with something.
Yeah, and
that's good for people to know.
Yeah,
even if they don't know what it is.
For sure. Well, it's going to blossom, and it is blossoming into the biggest, most important piece of my life going forward, a big part of my life going forward. It's on the personal side, but personally, from this spiritual place where I'm at, like, I'm never out of touch with the pain that I've felt. And the days that I don't feel it, I'm literally coming, the happiness and joy. Like, I was crying on the beach down there yesterday. And for like 3 seconds of it, I was like crying and like feeling completely immersed in like the energy of crying is like sadness, I guess, for, you know, but then I like start laughing and I'm like laughing and crying and I'm like, I don't need to cry, like, but it felt good, you know? It wasn't this like, but what my point is, like, I'm so tuned into everything that's happened in my life, and I think, you know, I'm different. Like, everything you're saying, I get it. I get that happened with 2 Chainz, and I get that. I know the sophomore album, like, there's just no way, because like, I'm so tuned into every step I've taken, and we've done it all ourselves. I've never lost myself in it, you know what I mean? And I take so much pride in that. But I also think it's why it's successful now, and why it is working is because I've never lost any of the shit that got me there along the way, and it's all a part of my being. Now I'm coming from a place of like, the way I look at it is like, I almost said this to you down there, it was just like talking about your health, and like, you can't save the people that are drowning while you're drowning, if you're drowning too. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be up here on the boat, throwing the line down in rafts and being like, yo, come up here. You know what I mean? That's where I feel like I am, and I can be, and I will, and all of my service will come from that place. Now, man, there's some music on that computer down there, and I talk about, I'm building this Lowe's project and the in-betweens, and there's just so much from rooted in pain and heartbreak or frustration or yearning for more or feeling like you're not enough, and all of these things are with me. They like, that computer goes everywhere with me. You know what I mean? It's like my diary. It's every day of my life put into a song form, you know? So I don't even worry about it being lost touch, because I can't. I'm so in touch. That's how I feel, you know? So with that being said, there's so much to do, and there's so much fire in me still to do more. I just feel as though I'm coming into there's seasons, you know? I'm coming into this season where I've maybe achieved some of the things that I needed to prove to myself I was enough, whether, you know, it should be that way or not. You know, we have these things where we get to certain places and it kind of clicks that you are enough. And for me, that's happened, but it's not.
So why did, like, Michael Jordan, like, when he won 5, he said 6? Like, why are those people that way?
I don't think. I saw somebody talking about this and I really resonated. It was just like, I had on the last episode of YNK, I was speaking with a buddy of mine, and I asked him that. I said, how do we measure success?
How do you?
I measure success with you know, obviously there is achievement embedded in the idea of success, and there's accolades and legacy, and like, how are you going to be remembered?
But like, why were you put on the earth? Like,
right.
You. I'm not talking about like theoretically humans being happy. Why were you put here? Because that's going to be your measure.
Right.
My measure is obviously what I'm doing, but why?
Yeah.
That's how we're going to determine your measurement of success.
My measurement of success really is, you know, there's a service aspect to it, but it's really achieving a pure level of peace and enjoying being alive and doing my absolute best at helping the people around me, helping myself, and enjoying being alive, truly enjoying being alive.
Okay.
And that completely evolves and changes. And the more work you do on yourself and the more time you spend on this earth, you give yourself full freedom to move through those phases, however you see it fit. Doesn't matter what the fuck he thinks or she thinks about. And everyone has their own worldview. Everyone's eyeballs, you know what I mean? They have their own set, and they have their own view of what it means to be here and how you should do it. Now, look, I want to fucking do everything I was meant to do, and I do feel as though what I'm doing, I'm right in alignment with it for sure. And I think the gifts that you're given are tools. You gotta find those tools and then kind of do what you need to do with them and what you were put here to do. So measuring success, like, I don't think Michael Jordan is the most successful person in the earth by far, bro. I don't. I know his kids. Like, I don't think Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Like, I don't think yes, we can romanticize the Mamba mentality. Yes, it reaps tons of benefits from a societal outlook of, look how much success and look how much winning was done and look at the legacy. And yes, you could talk about the trickle down effect of how many people Kobe inspired, and that's fact, you know? But I think about, what is the family life like? We don't know what happens next. Everyone has a theory, but were you really here? Or were you just running around to the next thing? Were you running around to the next thing constantly and you didn't even fucking look up one time? You know what I mean? And I guess from where you're I'm sitting in this space because I really was the opposite side. I was on the opposite side. And I'm just now new, freshly kind of in this space. Now, I do believe everyone's different. I believe everyone has different attributes and they have different reasons for being here. Now, my version of success is like a successful life is one when you wake up and you can fucking smile, not because you did something. You know what I mean? It's not because, like, did you see we're all over the news? Or my song's everywhere. Do you hear it? Like, is everyone looking? You know what I mean? Like, can you just wake up and fucking be like, wow, and not be looking at this? Like, I think for me, I needed to get here to be able to look at this every day to, like, you know, be able to get there and achieve what I'm talking about, where, like, I literally feel completely content with just having a day. Like, bro, back in the day, like, if I had a bad day in the studio or a few days, like, my self-worth was down here. Like, fucking suck. You know what I mean? Or what the fuck you doing? You can't, you know? Or I'm not inspired to go to the studio for 3-4 days. Like, you're a bitch. What are you doing? You know? Like, so I come from this, like, go get 'em athlete thing. And I understand the beauty in that. Now, my version of success, where I sit right now, has changed. And I think that's, to your point, initially you said life is change and stagnation and I'm constantly changing. So will it change? And maybe this is just a season? Yes, you know? But my version of success truly is, like, I am inspired by the person that, like, you go down and, like, grab a water at the gas station and that motherfucker's beaming. Who knows what his story was to get there? You know what I mean? But that shit's inspiring to me, bro. It moves me. Like, and I just have to pay attention to what moves me. I listen to my gut and my heart a lot more than my head these days, when it used to be the opposite. So I guess I come from a place of gratitude to have felt this, and I want to channel it, and I want to share it for everybody in the society we're basically being told, like, you are what you've done, you know? And for somebody who does so much, we're both giving each other our TED Talks, and you're saying things that I need to hear, and I try to say things that my good friends need to hear, and I resonate with your practice talk.
I think the good thing about this conversation is, like, the ingredients of your cake right now are so good because there is this momentum that you've built, and there's this level of peace that you've achieved, and those ingredients are amazing. And I guess the thing that I channeled because we've never had a talk like this. No. This is the first time I'm having to step off of my energy frequency because I feel that in this divine time, like I'm okay. What little nugget do I need to give Mike? And I've seen a lot of just people make mistakes. I've made the mistakes. Right now, don't change the cake. You're experiencing new things you've never experienced before. You're higher on the mountain. Actually, you had a house higher. It's a bigger house. But like the cake is good, and the only thing I want to say to you is you've mastered it. You have peace, and you had execution. And if the cake needed 2 eggs, and you started putting 4, 5, or 6 in, it's not the same cake.
Right.
You got it. You figured it out. And that is what's absolutely the most inspiring thing about you, is because you're paving a new way. There might not be a rapper on planet Earth that's having this conversation or saying the things you're saying. And that is a new path that's never, like, I'm sure there's some like hippie rock star that said this before. You know, but like, you are the people. You have the story and the knowledge.
And I think, like, for me, the whole thing, I know for a fact how I got here was just being myself, and that myself has changed so much. Mike Stud, being myself, worked at scale, or, you know, it's all relative, but like it worked because like people were like, oh, this is like really him. They're really like this. They're like ratchet little fucking college, like shit, this shit's wild, but they're actually this is what they wake up and they do. Now, as I change, for me to say like your whole idea of like don't change the recipe, it's like, nah, like I'm exactly being myself, you know what I mean? Now, if you go back to the lineage of my career, there's ebbs and flows of release and going and stopping and going back into the kitchen. And I know I do always, I have a lineage. If you look at it, really, anyone, like I can look at it, I know there's been many times I've gone back into the kitchen, you know, for a while. But I know that I am truly channeling exactly who I am now, and that's kind of, it's kind of my compass for it all. Like, is this really you right now? Is this really what's going on? And obviously it's like sonics, right? But shit sounds good, you know? It sounds good to me. I think there's gonna be a lot of people that think it sounds good, but the authenticity of it is one of your C's, like the culture. The culture exists because of the authenticity of it all. It reeks of authenticity, you know? And just because I change, like the whole rebrand to Mike, like I had a lot of people saying like, you're tripping, you know what I mean? Like you have a profit, like the business guys were like, this is growing, albeit slow, but like they already knew, I already had my mind changed. Like I can't be Mike Stead anymore because I'm just not him. You know what I mean? So I'm him now. Like Mike, I'm him exactly. And this music is exactly him. And I think it's the best it's ever going to be. But everything you're saying today is exactly spot on. And you said something to me when we were backstage, and you were just like, get the bigger house. Get the bigger house every time. Like what you're doing, how you're living, go bigger. Like, and it clicked for me then when you kind of realized, like you almost said something like, a lot of times you need to be told what you already know. And it clicked to me that like, maybe subconsciously or not, but like when we first set out on this mission, like we were making millions of dollars, but at the end of the year, there was no profits because I'm spending it all, you know, putting it all back in. And, you know, after you make a bunch of money in California, you're getting taxed, part of why I left as well. But like, it's all part of the frequency that I need to be on to deliver this version of myself for people, and challenging myself and going out of my comfort zone, just going and exploring and being. And it all has been a magical part of the equation for me. But
I think it's so genius. And that's the thing, like, like I was like, remember how I said I was like envious that you like get to wake up and make a song? Like that's like bliss to me, because it's like I had way less data points. It's like, oh, we get to wake up and create one thought, you know, until the tour comes and you gotta like do a whole bunch of other stuff. But like I was, I don't want to manifest this, but like when NBA YoungBoy got put on house arrest, I was like, oh, I'm like, there's a part of me that's envious. It's like, my man just gets to wake up and make music. Like, do you know how like much of a gift that is?
Yeah.
Because like I used to want to send like Travis Porter out to like the country, far, far away from any friends and like strip clubs and like nightlife.
That's what I'm doing.
It's so genius.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's such a blueprint that should be written, but I think you're paving a path that will be understood, because the level of success, but the level of peace, and also just the way you're going about it. Like, remember when Google decided to change what the office looked like? And then, like, everybody did it. Like, they paved the way, you know, that, like, oh, you could have a ping pong table. Like,
I will say I start to get more and more. It's interesting. I'm like, somehow I look up now and I'm like an OG a little bit, you know, like, and I get a bunch of messages from kids who are starting to get some shit on TikTok, and them and their boys are putting some money together. They're going on music trips, and not to say that that's my whole idea. Like, Kanye was doing it. People go on trips to record, but we just went so all in. Yeah. Like I sold everything. We're completely modern day gypsies. Like we don't live anywhere.
That's awesome.
And I would recommend it. But that conversation we had, it was kind of, I was on tour in the middle of the biggest tour I've ever played, and feeling the energy of it all every night, and it just kind of reminded me when you said that to me, it was just like, you know, a lot of the decisions we've made have been right, and they really come from the heart, the best decisions I've made. And it was just kind of like a nod, like someone, because no one really, I guess some people are starting to get it more and more, but to have people really get it is sometimes kind of what you need.
I almost wish I had a picture of you in front of every house and just watch the evolution, because young Dolph, R.I.P. Young Dolph, he all his chapters, and I don't think anybody put this together. I was obviously his manager, so I understood, but every chapter of his life was defined by a car. And him, like, it started off with a 911 Targa, and then, you know, like, you obviously climb the ladder. You know, a Porsche is like, you know, like a nice starter rapper car. You know, like even 2 Chainz's, you know, first car was he had the first Panamera. But like the evolution of houses would be so fun.
We've been doing it. I don't know if we haven't done like a tactical picture in front of every house, like, which probably would have served the purpose better, but we have great content from each place. So we're able to tell the story for sure.
I think when you collect so many, and just the life you've chosen, and like this chapter of your life, because one day you might not do it, but like the fact that this is a chapter and it exists on planet Earth, and that somebody did it, it's just like, you know,
thank you, buddy. Until
it's packaged. Right now, I feel like so much of what you're doing is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, the thing that's actually valuable is the liquid. But without the bottle, it's just like on the sidewalk, just like a puddle. You know, the most valuable thing, it's in a puddle, right? So it's like, you know, I might step in it, you know, like, what, it exists. It's the secret syrup. But when you put it in a package, and somebody can hold it and understand it, packaging, and I think your story will be packaged, and it will be understandable, and it won't just be like secret syrup, you know, on a table. You know, it will be in this thing that people can like wrap their hand around and understand so clearly.
So we did one documentary for the highs. We'll do one for each, and then I want to make a master one, like to keep going. You know, how we can kind of just encapsulate, like package the whole story. Maybe we'll have you, if you can, maybe we'll have you help in some way, just because I feel like you understand it so well. I understand how to package things very well. And we've been talking about me a lot. I wanna dive in.
The fans are like, thank God we're talking about you.
we never really do talk about it, to be honest. But we got to dive into some of your shit. We have to. I mean, there's so much to talk about, but I just gotta. I said it earlier, and I want to rehash it a little bit. It's just, I think you got to. I think you've been giving me advice. I think you need to fucking you need to like really dial into what the fuck you're doing right now, because it's God's work. You know what I mean? It's God's work, and it's. I don't think there's anything more important than what you're doing, and I know it's practice and the pregame and everything else.
We're about to enter into the real game. I think we're like walking into the arena right now.
Every time you say you're gonna do something, you do it. I'm the same way. You know, so I'm not one bit surprised by anything, and there's no ceiling to it. But it doesn't take away. It doesn't matter if it's the pregame. It's an incredible feat, an incredible thing you're doing. Anyone who isn't following and tuned in, like, do it now, because it's incredibly moving, but it's also like it's really, really impressive. It's really challenging to do what you're doing. Like, I don't think people understand the energy expense. You know, like,
it's the energy expense,
dude. It's a wild energy expense, and I mean, you could kind of take this wherever you want, but just I'd love to get a little bit of insight of really what you're fucking seeing and doing. Like, take it wherever you want, but I wanna. This is even just for me. Like, I want to know where. I want to know what it's like, kind of doing what you're doing, because, dude, I mean, I get a huge sense of feeling, just like, we give away money on the Only Steve's platform. I'm kicking back money anytime, or even money to my family and shit. Like, it's so fucking powerful. And it's not all about money by any means, but it's like,
it's energy.
It's an energy exchange, and you have the power, and you're like that guy handing them the fucking keys every time. It's an incredible position to be in. You've manifested it, and created this world that you're living in, but like, it's a pretty magical world that you've created, and obviously there's so much legwork and so much blood, sweat, and tears, and putting yourself second. But
really, man, it's no, bro. When I was put on this earth, it was always my job to make people's dreams come true. And that's why God had me sell vacuum cleaners to learn how to sell, or God put me in the music industry to learn how to make 2 Chainz's dream come true. To practice. Like, God, for some reason, made me do e-commerce to learn how to, like, build e-commerce businesses. And God made me a videographer to learn how to make things go viral. And God, you know, had my dream come true. You know, when I watched that Super Bowl commercial, the Colin Kaepernick Nike commercial, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, my dream came true. I wanted to be an athlete. You were actual, like athlete. I always wanted to be, and I was on the sideline. I was a water boy, and I wanted to be the athlete. And for me to be on the cover of the magazine, and me to be in the biggest Nike commercial of all time, was a testament that in that moment, I believed that everything that I felt in my heart, not just thought in my head, but like felt, because that was like divine for me to even attempt what I attempted. I knew it was possible. I knew, because I saw it, I felt it. Yep. And in that moment, man, I was just like, I gotta spend the rest of my life making dreams come true. And it would take me, you know, a couple years to get an artist off the ground. Now I've gotten it to the point where it takes me a couple weeks to get something off the ground, to where I can meet a...
It's crazy what you're doing. Like the fund, the capital being raised, and like, bro, I almost get a little bit of anxiety watching you, because I'm like, God, he just keeps going. It's like, and like asking of people, and like this constant putting yourself there in the trenches, and like, yo, we're not leaving until we get X, Y, and Z and this, and you're like harassing people, and it's
harassing. Like, and which is weird coming from the hip hop business, because you don't ask for nothing.
Yeah, and
you don't let people do you favors.
Like, bro, I mean, have you read "Asking and Is Given"? It's an amazing book.
Oh, by
Louis
our
Hay.
girl. Yeah, I read it. I actually listened to it when I was riding my bicycle across America.
I think of you a lot when I.
You know what's the most interesting thing in that book that stuck out to me?
What?
It was the whole book, however many, 250 pages. Mm-hmm. There was one thing that sat with me so well, and she said, the first step It might not have been the first step. I'm butchering this.
No, it's all good.
She said,
butcher all the
you
quotes
have to feel good. If you have to feel good, like before you do anything, you have to feel good. Like do something that makes you feel good. And that sounds so simple. And anybody who's listening to this will be like, Charlie, that's not deep at all.
It's everything.
It's every freaking thing. When I literally when I feel good, which is like, all right, let me get a whole bunch of sleep. Like I was in Dubai and my business partners were scared because they never witnessed me so high in my life. I'm talking about, I don't do drugs. I was the high. They were scared. They wanted to call. Like the ambulance. The day before, I slept 20 hours. I laid in bed for 20 hours. The next day, the manager of Nobu in Dubai and the Atlantis reached out to me. It was like, I want to give you a complimentary dinner. I hadn't eaten for like a day and a half. My body was well rested. I was fasted. I sat down and I drank some coffee and I had a little glass of red wine, and the whole restaurant thought something was wrong with me. I was laughing. I was screaming. I was euphoric. I caught the Holy Ghost. I felt so good that people don't understand. Like feeling good is like my goal actually in life. Like feeling good. It
sounds like we have similar ideas of what success is.
Absolutely. If I feel good, I can manifest and create and go do anything I want to do. When I feel bad, it's a bad, oh God, grumpy Charlie, it's not nice. But that book, Feeling Good, that was the thing that stuck with me. And do what makes you feel good. Make sure that's a priority. Yeah. I'm guilty of not, obviously.
What do you think I'm getting at?
Me taking care of myself?
Yeah, because...
Absolutely. You know what the smartest thing I could do is? Stop what I'm doing for a few months. Mm-hmm. Completely tap out. And I there was this gentleman, he does breath work. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Lucas. Mm-hmm. He's Jake Paul's breath work coach.
He's like a popular guy. He does a lot of the guys out in LA, right?
Yes. Yeah. And he's the real deal. It's not like some Hollywood. Like he's actually he's more of a psychiatrist than like breath work. And there was this one day I'm in my car and I'm like, it was a punching the steering wheel day. Mm-hmm. Like I've had some punching the pillow days. Punching the steering wheel is a different level of frustration. You remember this day. And I was so frustrated with my weight because I feel like so trapped. Mm-hmm. Like for me being trapped, first of all, the name Charlie means free man. Mm-hmm. Anytime I feel trapped, oh God, I'm allergic. Mm-hmm. And I'm like trapped by like this world I created. But like it's good that I created it. And it's good that I'm feeling trapped, but it will scream at me to make a change. And I called Lucas. I said, what do you think I should do? Because I can't figure this out. I'm like, well, I know I will, but right now I'm at a loss. Mm-hmm. He said, Charlie, in his little Australian accent, he said, you should take 3 months and stop everything you're doing. And I said, you're right. Have I done it? Absolutely not. Done quite the opposite. But the second I figure out the homeostasis of being bold and my body being at peace, because I think it's just a protection thing. I think it's simply a protection thing. When I'm out on the front lines, it's like you got the warrior and then you have the king. The kings started off as warriors, and the best warriors become the kings. And warriors are on the front line. The bullets are coming, mm-hmm. the swords, they're coming. And you're truly not protected when you're on the front lines. And I had a shift, and this is actually kind of crazy. So I was at the Golden Door. I was telling you about an amazing retreat, women's thing, but men can go a few times a year. And I had this channeling of information. Said, Charlie, it's time for the warrior to become the king. And the king does a different type of work. Still doing work, but just making different types of decisions.
We're having the same downloads. I'm just listening.
You want to know what's crazy about this though? So I'm at the Golden Door and I'm journaling all this. I wish I brought my journal. I could show the pages and pages and pages from warrior to king. King Charles. What does a king deserve? I'm making all these pages. What does a king deserve?
Yep.
I'm becoming a king. And then I got the news that Queen Elizabeth died. Mm-hmm. This is 2 days after I started my journal. And then you have a King Charles.
Crazy.
King Charles. And at the same time, like, I'm channeling my king energy, and I'm like, am I in a parallel little universe? This is kind of creepy. Remember when I told you? It was just creepy, like King Charles.
Yeah.
Everybody always thinks I'm crazy. I don't care. I'm not influenced.
I don't.
But like that king's work. So for me, mastering the king's work, that's my next journey. But that is a protection. The king is protected. The king is in the castle.
So you understand everything, the whole dialogue we just had about me is parallel to this.
Really?
It's like I'm in my king's phase.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm protecting myself first. Like that statement about like you can't save the others that are drowning if you're drowning too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like what we, men like us, and just people in general who have those innate feelings of you're here called to something higher. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has it, but this is the yin and the yang in the battle that the line we must walk.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally agree that you need to at least put in the forefront of your manifestation protocol, which you are a master manifester, to create a time for you to step away for a bit. Because
I'm building it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called the Dream 100.
Oh, okay.
There is Charlie.
He's actually building it.
No, literally. This is real time. If I have a download, I'm not fucking around.
Right.
I'm going to go build my army. I don't want the mission to ever stop. I will sacrifice myself until I have built what needs to replace me.
I think I know where you're going with this, and it sounds genius.
Jay-Z. That's where I'm going with it. Jay-Z was a warrior rapper. Jay-Z decided to be the king. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z was the best warrior. Jay-Z replaced himself. He built his army of Kanye West, Rihanna, and whoever else. Mm-hmm. I am building a movement. And the answer is also when you let go of the ego. I don't know if you noticed, about 8 months ago, I stopped being in every video. I didn't need to. I was like, this is a trap. If everything I'm building relies upon me, I'm trapped for life. So I started putting my employees in the videos, and I realized these videos can do just as good, and the movement can be just as strong without me, because at the end of the day, it's the mission and the frequency that the people care about, not me. Service. It's the service. So I'm building the Dream 100, which is just the beginning of building a movement. It just starts with the first 100, me. You know how you'll follow Jimmy Darts or MD Motivator? Yeah. I started doing this in 2018. There was nobody doing it. Now, if I was smart, if I was Jay-Z and I was thinking bigger as I am now, but the thinking bigger comes from a bad situation, my health, so be very grateful for the bad situation, because it will push you to find bigger solutions. Absolutely. So be extremely grateful for all the bad things. If I was thinking this way, I would have signed Jimmy Darts. I would have signed MD Motivator. I would have signed Isaiah Garza. I would have signed Murph's Life. Mm-hmm. But the next 100, they're going to be in this media empire where I now help them build their careers, and I bring them brand deals, and everybody's under one ecosystem of a foundation that is going to be the biggest foundation in the world. Mm-hmm. And then I can be taking care of myself, taking Lucas's advice in Bali, on my little moped, in Ubud, going to my little yoga class, eating my little smoothie, and my mission is bigger than ever because the ego is removed. Mm-hmm. The warrior is now the king, and I come in and I'll go do my big entrepreneur dreams, because as passionate as I am about helping, there is a specific niche that I am extremely passionate about. Like hurricane, that's my duty. I know I can do it. I know I can help. It's not exactly my truest passion. My truest passion is I meet that little girl who wants a bakery. I built a cookie business. We sell 130,000 cookies in a week. And like, I'm good at that. That's what I love. And she's a star.
Yeah.
She walks down the street and everybody in St. Louis knows her. And it's like she's on the news. I love building stars. And that's somebody's dream. She wants to be a famous baker.
Kind of a compilation of everything you've done.
Bingo. That's what I'm meant to do. So when I'm Jay-Z and I come out those 9 times a year, I'm doing an entrepreneur dream. I'm turning somebody into a millionaire. I want to print millionaires. I press my button. Bloop, their dream changed their life. Bloop, they're a millionaire. Bloop, they're a millionaire.
I agree. Bloop. That's so you. It's like what you should be doing 100%. And it's clear. I think it scratches that itch for you as well. Like just you being a dog in business and knowing how to do shit. And it has that service undertone always.
But the next Lila that I meet, it's not stopping at that. She's going to have distribution across the world through every Kroger, Albertsons, every Target, Walmart. The next Matthew, who's clothing line, kid with cerebral palsy, we sold $500,000 worth of T-shirts in a week. There's a partnership with H&M. I want the bigger relationships to that then inspire to where now Matthew is able to be a clothing god, and that will inspire so many. You know, not just like stopping.
I love it.
I want to go bigger.
That's the next
with
step.
The dreams.
It's the obvious next step. I love it.
So replacing myself to where I can take care of myself, which I will. When Lucas told me that, he might not have thought I listened. I listened. I just couldn't do it right then and there.
Yeah.
And I will sacrifice myself slightly, temporarily.
Yeah.
But I will make sure.
Yep.
I cracked the code on my health, and I'm trying. I'm getting close. Before I went to help the hurricane victims, I had lost 7 pounds in about a week and a half, and I was like locked in. Then I went and I attempted to keep the frequency, and I failed. But I was aware every second of the way of where things went wrong, where my body was so exhausted that it needed food to perform. And that one extra meal, that one extra, 400 calories is the difference between weight loss and weight gain. And that if I had meditated and went to a yoga class, my body would have been relaxed and not needed food. And that my hips were tight. And when my hips are tight, there's something that blocks with the energy. Like I'm dialing every second of every day. And Neve, she sees it. There's not a day. I've gained 50 pounds in 2 years. And there wasn't a day that I slacked. And when I say it was like a challenge, my health, my energy, there was not one day. It was like, I'm just a kid that wants to play basketball that's like slow. But that same kid who wants to play basketball that's slow, fat, and chubby, also the kid that was in the biggest Nike commercial of all time.
Right.
I don't lose. It might look like I lose.
Right.
No, it's all a gift.
Right.
Because I don't give up. There's never been one day. You ever see me throw in the towel? And be like, I give up. Every day, it's like, today's the day. Every day.
That's what it's about.
I'm going to crack the code.
That's what it's about. I mean, I don't think there's anything higher on the totem pole of like being alive. Waking up and doing it, whatever it has to be, whatever you have to do. And like, even the idea of feeling alive, like what is that? It's like, the challenges and the pain, those emotions are like the strongest emotions to the human, like in our human experience. Like the power they hold, they can fucking literally make you feel like you're going to die. You're sick and you can't move and you're going to die from the pain or the heartbreak or the frustration.
Ooh, the word frustration. Let me tell you a quick little story for everybody. This might go over everybody's head. I don't care. Frustration can be so magical.
I know.
There was a day. Now, see, I come from the street culture of Atlanta.
Yeah.
My business partner, Timmy, he comes from Minnesota. So he doesn't understand certain like codes of like people infiltrating.
Yeah.
You'll understand. You've been in the music industry long enough. So there was a certain somebody that wanted to meet with my business partner, and he didn't check in with me.
The check-in.
Like, and I told my business partner, I was like, bro, you're meeting with him? And he didn't call me? And like, he thinks he just has access to my people? He said, yeah, he's on the way. Like, he's getting on a plane. Like, he's coming in to me. And I'm like, he ain't checking with me? Like, he's meeting with my people. And I, like, get mad and frustrated. And I'm like, man, he ain't mean. Nah, we not doing, like, bro, you can't do that. Like, I just, like, flip. Like, frustrated. Like, very, like, CEO Charlie. Very just, like, not magical at all.
Right.
And I'm just like, bro, like, folks got to check in, man. You can't be letting people think they can infiltrate without letting me know, blah, 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 blah. And he got a text that the engine on the plane broke and he's stuck on the runway. He's not going to be able to come. As I'm sitting there doing this, he's like, bro, you manifested him not coming. Swear to God. Swear for God. Like, it's like, what? Like, he's like, Charlie, I get scared when you get that passionate because things happen really fucking fast. The plane engine on the runway stopped and he couldn't come. He said they're having to turn the plane around. He said, Charlie, I'm terrified. I was like, when I get frustrated, shit happens. Good shit. Like, I don't know what intentionally I do to channel that I need this to happen, because sometimes, like, being frustrated or angry can give you negative results.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about what I do with it or how I tune it, but like, things happen so freaking fast. Remember, bro, the same shit happened with the fucking Nike thing. Bro, same exact thing. I wanted to film a fan-made Nike commercial. I was calling all my boys in Hollywood. I'm not 2 Chainz's manager, so people aren't just like hopping to work with me. Like, I'm just Charlie. Like, like I'm not in the music industry, so videographers, the good ones, aren't just willing to stop what they're doing to work with me. So I'm going around.
I remember this story.
Bro, this craziest shit ever. I'm at Gracias Madres meeting with John Legend's manager. And he was going to introduce me to a guy who does film work, or like a whole bunch works in the film industry. And I told him exactly what I'm looking for. I'm like, I need a videographer who can shoot, who can edit, who can color grade. We need like Hans Zimmer type music. I need the strings. He's like, Charlie, like, what's your budget? I was like, a few $1,000. And he's like, no, like, this is like 6 different people. You're talking about like Hans Zimmer music.
Yeah.
He said, you're not going to find this in your budget. I said, bro, you're not going to tell me I can't find something. And he said, you need to be realistic. I said, that is the one word. No human should ever tell me. Don't tell me to be realistic.
Yeah.
I walked outside after the meeting and I told John Legend's manager, I'm like, bro, like I'm fucking pissed off, like blah, 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 blah. Like, I was angry. And I said, watch, tomorrow I'm going to find him and I'm going to call you and let you know I found this person. He said, Charlie, calm down. I said, I'm not going to calm down. Next day, so I go like yin and yang. Like, I do have my like frustration. But then like the next day I'm sitting on my couch and I'm journaling and I'm like, today is the day I search/found my videographer/editor. It's done, ! It's easy, ! My roommate walks in the front door. Behind him comes a videographer. I talked to him. And he was like very like gothic emo-y, and my hopes were not high that this was the guy. I'm very bubbly. I want to make an inspirational film. This dude was like, yeah, like nobody ever hires me. I was like, can I see your work? He's like, yeah, but like, man, like, he was just like, Debbie Downer, like a dark cloud was over him. He wears all black, had the like rock star hair, you know, in front of his face, like the earrings. I'm like, this cannot be the guy. And I said, let me see your work. I pull it up, boom. There's a little short film on there. And I said, bro, like, this is really good. Did you shoot this? He said, I shot it. Like, I got my own equipment. I was like, do you have your own equipment? He's like, yeah, I kind of like hoard. Like, I like buy equipment. Like, anytime I make some money, I just buy stuff. And he had like steady cams, anamorphic lenses, cameras, like tripods, like green screens. He had everything. And I was like, did you edit this? Because a lot of times people shoot, don't edit. He said, yeah, I edit. And then I said, who color graded this? He said, well, like I taught myself Da Vinci. I was like, the color grading is amazing. You did this? He said, yes. I said, who did the scoring? Because scoring is like sound effect and all the little fine details. That's what makes film. He said, well, like I scored everything. Like I made this like footstep thing with this clapper thing. Like he like literally made the sound effects in his bedroom. And I said, who made this music? And he said, well, I used to be in a rock band. We were on the Warped Tour. We had a record deal. So I like make all my own music. And I was like, can you make Hans Zimmer type music? He said, yeah. And we made this fan-made Nike commercial. This was one day after this dude told me I couldn't find somebody who can do it all. My pure frustration mixed with my magic of believing. But the frustration was actually a believing frustration. I will. Yeah. You're not going to tell me. Exactly. I will do it. Yeah. Like that speaking, the abracadabra, as I speak, I create. Mm-hmm. The man walked in my front door, and it frustrates me so much when people say, you know, you got to only go out and get it. Like, you got to go get it. Like, no, blessings walk in your front door. Yeah. It does, but it's like this beautiful cake of all the ingredients. And that's what I go back to like 45 minutes ago. It's like, don't only become the Buddhist, because that's not part of the 100%. Ingredient. Yeah. The cake is working.
I was just thinking that's what's special about you, and I think it's what's special about me is having the yin and yang and this perfect combination of the dance between the two, the doer and I will, and the frustration and the passion and the competitiveness combined with the quantum physics and the journaling and the manifestation. I mean, I think out of all the shit you do, at least personally for me, that's probably the most, what's the word, enticing / inspiring, a thing that I think comes in innately through you is the power of belief.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I don't even need to say it, but I'll say it anyway. You need to stay in that magic more than anyone, because the physicalities and the issues and health is wealth. So I completely relate. And I'm like, you know, I have my own set of health things or whatever. I see everyone has their own sort of set of health things, but like you are the spirit of Charlie Rocket is fucking big.
Thank you, man.
And I really think the world needs to be reminded of it all the time, the power of the magic and the power of the belief and this whole kind of compilation of who you are. And I think that's what makes me special in my own way too, is just, and what you're trying to make sure I maintain, and I think that's what you need to maintain as well.
1000%, because I let a lot of like the kind of, I guess, the feminine energy go while trying to build something on the battlefield. And I want to come into a place, and why I'm very inspired by the life you've created is because you have found homeostasis. Yeah. And it took going to war to get there.
It did.
And you did it. And I want to enter into that season of my life.
You are.
I am inspired to get there. I'm inspired to add a lot more feminine energy back, replacing myself, creating a movement beyond me, empowering others, letting something be bigger than me is the next chapter.
I mean, bro, I that conversation like stuck with me. I was the very beginning of my spiritual kind of towards the feminine. And man, it's changed my life for the better so much. And you have that power. Like it's so you kind of opened my eyes to it way more just from that conversation and seeing your stuff. And you need to make sure that you stay tuned into what the fuck you are, because really the shit you're doing is incredible, you know, and it is all coming from the best of places, and you just got to make sure you stay there, that best of place that you are. Like the power that you have, and it's all coming from this place of like something higher, something bigger than you. You're just getting money and fucking funneling it right back out to people that need it, right when they need it. You know, it's everything it stands for is completely aligned with the shit you came in my house parading and fucking drawing on my whiteboard about. You know, it's like, it's all that in action, and it's really important. It's really important work, and it is really important that you check in with that, no matter what season you're in. And I get you got to be a dog, because I've been a dog the whole time, really, you know, and I still am when I feel as though I need to be, and there's certain times where I do and I break into it, but there's just so much greatness in you and in your heart and what you're doing.
If you were to give me a playbook for the next year of my life.
Yeah. Well, it's ironic because this conversation is like taking this, it's not ironic with us, but it's like it's taking this form because it's kind of more or less what I wanted to get to with you is like,
here, give me the recipe.
Yeah.
That you think, because you watch closely just like how I watch closely. So you give me the playbook.
So we've been circling it a bit, and I think because of who you are and your intuition, and you're a problem solver, so like you're already on it. Now, I think you're spot on with the idea of it's bigger than you. You don't need to be in the videos. Mm-hmm. Automatically, what do I think of? You're freeing up your bandwidth. Your bandwidth is fucking completely used up every day. To the point where, like, you know, it really, like, what you're doing is such selfless work. It makes sense that you be completely selfless. Absolutely. More and more and more as it grows. It's not about me.
Not at all.
At all, you know? And it fits so nicely into the narrative of who you are. You know what I mean? Like, and what I think you represent is like, you can really be remembered for how the selfless, the lack of ego, but so much being done and produced. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, it really is what gets me going about the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So quite literally taking the guidance of your own self, your own actions of like, it is less and less about me as we go. And in turn, you'll get more wealthy, more successful, more happy, more peace, more time. Mm-hmm. Now, I do think like you're already doing it, but just building out this little team, like the team's growing obviously in the operations, but like, I just see you perched like in a house like this, like you have a wellness, you have a chef. Mm-hmm. Let me paint the picture for you the next few years. Like, you got the chef, you have the trainer, you have the fluidity coach, breathing, whatever it may be. You have all of your business is in, hey, come up to the house. Mm-hmm. Let's meditate together. Let's talk, and then we have a great fucking healthy lunch and talk about how my next projects, you can help me get into H&M. Like, and really to give yourself a break in regards to understanding that it's exactly where you're going. It's where I see it going. It's like, it's exactly where you're going and what you're doing, and it takes a ton of legwork, which you're just in the heart of it. You're knee deep in the trenches of legwork and like building this platform that's so inspirational and professionally done that the guy from H&M comes up to the crib on the top of the fucking mountain to chop it up with you because you built something that and people come. You know what I mean? So I think you're already doing it. Now, I think more than anything, it's just like this whole idea is kind of what we've been circling around. Is just like, you can't help others at your best until you're there at your best. Like, you're already doing it incredibly. So like, even when you're drained, you're doing it because you've built this thing, and it's
pregame.
Yeah, it's the pregame, right? So like the next phase, your game is gonna feel a lot more like the pregame, if this makes any sense. Let me explain. Right now, I'm so in my game. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like I'm in the second quarter and I got 18 points already, and I'm like,
absolutely.
But I'm gonna have 50. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So like, there's a lot more shots to make, but I feel so comfortable. There's no nerves about hitting them, and I'm actually not. The whole system is built to get me open for my shot. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like in the system, and like I'm waiting for my screen, and I'm gonna come off the screen and just like hit the wide open shot. Mm-hmm. And really, it's where your shit's going exactly. You know what I mean? Like, the game for you is gonna feel a lot more like practice because you're not gonna have to try very hard. I got "Don't Try" tattooed right here, and there's so much trying that had to be done to get to the point where I realized now
11 years, bro.
Yeah, I don't need to try anymore. I just need to come into my space and be me, and then what that is great. You know, like, so for you, I see your game being like literally in a crib like this, and you're just like, you're literally puppeteering the whole thing that you built, and it's all down here. So like, they're down here in the trenches, and you're throwing the fucking life raft down. Yeah, king's work. And that's where it's going, and it's what you're doing, and you need to have compassion for yourself for not like, because you're juggling so much, and it's actually, you're fucking nailing it. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, you might be pissed about the health thing, which is real, and I get it. But dude, you do shit in one day that people can't do in 5 years of trying hard. You know what I mean? So like, the same way it might be easier for me to like take my shirt off and feel comfortable because this is just the way God made me. You know what I mean? Which there is some of that. Some of it's just out of your control, right? But you know how hard it is to fucking put together the shit you put together for anyone else? You do it like this. That's your magic. You know what I mean? So you having your own challenges, it's like, it's just like a part of life. You know what I mean? Your challenge looks different than mine and hers and everybody else's, but you're juggling it the best you can. And like, dude, you easily could have stepped away and been like, I need to get my health, but you don't. Hurricane Ian happens, you go fucking fly there and do it. You know what I mean? And like, people see that. I see that. I think that's a big part of what's so great about it. At the same time, can you start manifesting your king season? Absolutely. Can you start preparing for it? Absolutely. You already are. The 100 thing is really smart. And you're a master creator, bro. So any of the frustrations that you're facing are just gonna channel into you being in that position where you're perched up on the hill and you're not really in the trenches, but you don't have to be anymore. And it doesn't mean you're disconnected. It doesn't mean that you fucking lost the recipe, you know what I mean? Or forgot about the frustrations. It's actually like, no, it's just you coming into who you need to be. And like, for you, and for anyone really doing things at scale, it's like Jay-Z couldn't be the warrior anymore. He wouldn't. So many more people are helped from him changing, and from him going from the trenches to the you know, the level up, and then the level above that, and the level above that.
I'll actually bring it all the way full circle and relate it back to why you inspired me so much. Remember when you first met me, like I had Quantopia. That was like one of the C's. That was like, really, actually, it was all the C's, really, because it had like this culture. It had this course, you know, like the Bible, you go in there, you learn. And then it had like the communion right before COVID. I threw, it was like the day before the podcast, or day after the podcast, I threw that event. And it was at Wisdom, and it was like it was a speakeasy. It was a secret event. 750 people showed up for a secret event. And it had the 3 C's. And then when I built this, it almost didn't have any C's. Like it has a little bit of the culture, because we got this like thing called the dream team. You know, it's like, but you can't.
I would agree.
You can't fully participate. You could donate, but you don't fully feel like you're a part of Stevenson's Ranch. You could like see it, but like, how do I fully be a part of it? So what I'm going back to, and what you've confirmed so much for me through watching you build something similar to what I've built, and it's like bringing it full circle, is the 3 C's. It's like, let's build the culture. Dream team. The clothing line is Dream Team. We developed like this little pink bear, which is like our Mickey Mouse, and he's like the icon. And it's like having those things it stands for, and then like the creed and the manifesto, and like what we stand for, our why, all those things in the culture. You can wear it, you could say it, you could put it in your hashtag, you can literally watch it. And then the second C is that course. We got to teach. I got away from teaching. When you first met me, I wasn't on the road. I was teaching every day. And like a whole movement was built, like off of like the winning streak lifestyle.
That's kind of what I was just saying before this. Like, that's my favorite thing. It's magical.
You hardly said it, but I heard it so loud. You glazed over it.
Yeah.
Like very, very, but I heard it so loud. And it's like, okay, let's get into this like course again, because that's an important part. Like the fact that you blew up this year, but this podcast still exists. Because the podcast, I'm guessing, started in a quieter time.
Much quieter. It was when I was killing off Mike Stead. And I knew culture. Like I knew I was quiet as Mike Stead. I was starting this Mike catalog.
Yep. And
I literally knew, like, if I start this and people get a sense into who I am, when they hear this music, they're going to be like, oh my God, this aligns perfectly with the guy.
Yep.
You know, so it was kind of a time filler, like, but I also knew the magnitude of what it could do for the connectivity to culture and people being engaged.
So one of the things I want to do to follow in your footsteps is to bring back the podcast, but I'm going to call it Dreamology. And that's that course, but also to bring back Quantopia, but we're renaming it Dreamland World. Okay. Dreamland World, a digital speakeasy. Got to know the secret phone number. The donors will know it, but only the donors will know it. But then it spreads naturally. You go into this world and you got all these courses, all these podcasts, all this world that exists in Dreamland World to dream and to be with other dreamers, Stevenson Ranch. And then the community, the communion, the place, the church, the physical place. I just opened the Dream Factory.
Yep.
It's
sick.
It's my first church. And like to create a community to where there's amenities for people part of the Dream team. So let's say if I'm working with all these creators, all the people in the Dream 100 who I'm signing, they come into
you're signing these creators that are from
I'm going to give them a career path to where they can make money, like how artists can make money by creating, but like people want to help. They don't know where to start. Right now they think like, okay, like if I want to help, like I can go feed a homeless person. It's really like the only thing to really do. Or like, let me go to a soup kitchen, or like, let me like, but like, that's it. There's so many people that need help, but it's such a high level of entry, figuring out where to even go or start. So you just end up being like, all right, let's just go feed the homeless. Not anything wrong with that.
Right.
That's just like the beginning. But you know what happens to the elderly lady who needs help? You don't know where to go. You can't pull up on her on the street.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even know where to find her.
Right.
Like she literally is not going to have a Thanksgiving meal. Homeless folks going to get a ton of Thanksgiving meals. Old lady ain't got no family and she's just in her house by herself or at the nursing home and nobody's coming to visit. But how do you really find her? So it's like we start signing these people, right? They're part of the Dream 100. They become the leaders. So they become the priests. They open their own church. They have their own ecosystems, but there's like this one, like Vatican. You see what I'm saying? It's already been figured out.
Yeah.
But then we launched a tour across America and then across the world. But it's not just the giving tour. It's the community tour. It's the teaching tour. It's the live podcast tour where I'm bringing all the dreamers together. And then there's the Manifestival on New Year's Eve.
I love that name.
So it's a music festival, but it's a very high frequency one. It's on New Year's Eve every year.
I have to come play it.
Bro, we can build it together.
I'd love to.
Might as well.
The Manifestival, it's an amazing branding too. I love that name.
See what I'm saying? But then I want to start like a warp tour across America, like once a year. A tour like that where it's a new collection of artists.
Love to help.
And it's like, bro, all these things are bringing good people together, making dreams happen from stage, making dreams happen in the community. But really, it could be like the concerts can have a thermometer and people could just be donated. It's just like a culture of like, I'm here for entertainment, but I also like helping. It's just like you. Everybody watching, I've worked with a lot of artists in my life. Mike is the only artist who donates to our campaigns without me asking. Like literally, like you just like, I just see your name pop up. I'm like, bro, you have a different level of heart.
Thank you, brother.
And when I say like you're the one, is because of those things.
Thank you, bro.
It's because like that, once it's an example and once somebody else says it, not when you say it, I donated. No, when somebody else packages you and explains you,
I appreciate it, bro.
It will then become a thing for people to do. Roger Bannister style, the 4-minute mile, like your lifestyle, your thought process, how you operate, how you think. Once they see it once.
I'll be honest, man, like each day that passes, I wanna help more, And then it makes, really, it's. I think you've said something like this. It's like, it's actually selfish to be selfless.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, I fucking feel good when I help, you know? So then when I feel good, then I fucking make a bunch of dope shit. Yep. And I monetize that.
Yep.
And I'm not even trying. Yep. And then it's this vicious cycle of great shit going around. Yep. And everyone's winning.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just lean more and more into the space of service. And I mean, I love living a certain lifestyle, but I'm also like you, I got like 10 shirts down there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm traveling real light, and like, I don't really have an ego about anything. I'm not gonna, I drive a fucking Jeep. You know what I mean? Like, so with the money that I am very inspired and interested in capitalism and growth and scaling and business, but taking that and channeling it back into the right places and directions with the right intentions, and not believing in the magnitude of that radiating through the universe is just where I'm going with it all, you know? So I'd want to get more and more involved with the shit you're doing, and I've done some cool business stuff that's blossoming.
Bro, let's create.
So I'd love to just channel.
Venn diagram real quick. Me and you Venn diagram this thing. Okay. You got an entertainment aspect that needs a philanthropy infusion. I got a philanthropy aspect that needs an entertainment infusion. It's who I am. It's what I understand. Right. Touring, music, entertainment, the blueprints. I think if we merged slightly, I believe in you so much that like we can create things that merge the two. We should. And it's literally like everybody benefits who's at home or in the world, because entertainment is the most powerful thing, period. You want to infiltrate the minds of people. See, you are in a place where you are actively wanting to learn. Usually people who read books are people who are pretty damn smart. But who needs to read the book? It's the person who is studying the entertainment. They're not in a learning mindset. They just want to be entertained. They just want to escape somewhere. So you're in such a powerful place of entertainment that you can go into everybody's car, living room, barbecue, and you could bring them in. You have to meet people where they are.
You're getting down to it. You're nailing down another part of this for me that I didn't really touch on when we were talking about me and where I'm at, and just like being in the kitchen and like getting the best ingredients. Like, I'm trying to channel like all the positivity, and it's one of those things where like it has to be so organic, and I think I'm the only person that could really do it. Just like the vibe I'm on.
Hold on, what did you just say? I'm the only what? What did you just say? What did he just say, America? He said, I'm the only what?
The only one.
Come on, baby. All right, continue. Now that we've solidified
I'm the only one that could like take like the book I'm reading, like the frequency book, or these books that have these greater universal truths, and like slightly embedding them in the music.
That's what I'm talking about.
So that's kind of where like I'm being a little more thoughtful about like, yeah, I could put a song on but like, and yes, like there's also this like yin and yang, like I don't want to be too heavy with that. It has to come through in this organic way that's really me, and I really think I'm tuned into it, you know? So it's a big part of like...
I have one question. What's your thought process? And I'm just planting this now, not to be negative, but you got to be prepared for winter. What's your thought process and your homeostasis, peace, when you drop 5 records in a row that flop?
I mean, I don't know if you're going to believe the answer, but I really don't give a fuck. I don't believe it's possible. And if it is, and I learned that, then like, if I'm being completely like, here's what I'm going to say. Like, I have a collection of records down there, and I just know there is no flop for me where I am in my life. And like, also with the community of listenership, and it's like, dude, I'm not anywhere. I'm not being promoted anywhere. Like, these people have either landed on it by chance or sought it out in some way and connect to it. I know that I'm in line with that and I'm right in that recipe, and it's like, it's to your point, it's not changing at all. It's really just more of the soul food.
Okay.
And the best. So like if it flops for me, like what I'm saying is like,
the reason why I say it is because even Michael Jackson got cold.
Yeah. And like maybe if I got cold, then maybe that's where it ends for me. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, but all I'm saying is like, Michael Jackson lived in a totally different climate than Mike lives in regards to the way my business operates, and also like, I'm not in the music industry per se. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here just like,
you're in the business of, you have a fan base and you have a direct line, and the only music business you're in is your relationship with your fans.
Right.
That's your business. You have a relationship with, let's call it like a girlfriend. It's your job to just keep that and like relationship alive.
You're exactly right. And my notion is like, if I fuck with it for any reason, I let it fly and it goes out, and then I got another one and another one and another one and another one and another one.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Good answer. And
that's really, really, really the truth, and really how I feel about it. And like, there's also not this huge like, hey, we're spending $1 million on this to radio. Like, oh man, he only sold 13,000 copies. What a flop. Like, there's none of that. Because
you didn't sign the deal. You didn't go into the industry.
No one can tell me anything about flopping or like, I literally drop songs, I let them go. And then it's like,
how many, curious, because I know the plays, how many albums did High sell in the end?
At this point,
not first week.
I don't know,
because you had a great first week, by the way.
So it was about 20,000 first week.
That's insane. No, like that did not get its flowers. Everybody at home who's listening, who just might not be educated on what that means, that's an insane number. To put it in perspective, NBA YoungBoy sold 30 something last week. Like he's the most streamed artist in the world for like the past 3 years. No, he drops a ton of albums, but it's insane that you did a 20, but I'm sure that the sales strengthened because it was a hell of an album.
Like you might think it's cap. Like I don't even fucking know, because I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I just know, I know it was the truth. I know I fucked with it heavy, and I know people are fucking with it. So, you know, you could look at it and say like, hey, you might be leaving some money on the table. Like, you could be spending more money on promotion and like strategically placing it in certain places. And I'm coming into that phase next, probably.
I don't want me to tell you what I think the thought process should be is no like strategic extraction of juice. I think that there's going to be something you do that 10x's everything you've done, and it's just there's a lottery ticket in that hard drive. And it'll do it itself.
And like to this day, I mean, I've had one lottery ticket per se, like that These Days record, but like the whole thing, it's kind of, that's what I love so much about where it all is, I guess. But for me, it's just like there isn't this like preciousness or importance on each song. It's like,
that's great.
It's all just a fucking diary entry.
Exactly.
Like, you know
that's
what I mean?
A good place to be.
Yeah. I look at it almost like I got some like buddies in real estate, and I've been dancing in that world. Like, and I look at it like buying a piece of property.
That's it.
It's very low risk, but I spend $8 grand to put a song out, like, and make it and mix it and like all the pieces and paying the right people, etc., like the producers and whatever it may be, even less sometimes, 5. I mean, it's nothing. And then some of those properties I buy
kick off hella rent. I mean, I'm talking about it's better than real estate.
Yeah. And like, so like, I know I'm gonna at least 5x that in a few years. So like even a flop would make like 30 grand in like 3 years, or I don't even know exactly what the numbers are. But my point is like, I don't really feel like I could lose. And like, it really is your whole thing. Like the way you kind of slightly harassed me about putting music out, it's exactly right. It's just me making sure, like, it's me juggling my life and making sure it all feels perfectly right to me in certain ways. But I'm not precious about it. And I totally agree. Like, it's everything I'm saying. Like, they're just I let them go. They're like diary entries, and they're so easy to make for me. Like,
it's like it is a business, but it's also a relationship. You in your relationship with your fans, and if you go too long without taking your girl on a date, there's going to be maybe not bad energy, but there's just there's something that's just not.
It's facts, and
there.
even juggling, like you're like, oh, I know you're feeding the Only Steve's thing, which I am, and it's killing it, but you can't. I'm making that the community. Like, there's so much. Like, I'm giving away cars and that shit. Like, in 6 months from now, I'm gonna be like, yo, I'm giving away a fucking goddamn car.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? And that's where I'm going with it. But you're exactly right. Like, you have to be ginger with that relationship, because my fans are fucking everything to me. You know what I mean? And they know that, but they also know, like, I kind of do it. We have this really 50-50 relationship on it all. But you're exactly right. Everything you say is rooted in the truth.
And the only reason why I bring up like things like sales and stuff is because the viewer at home can't understand something. They can't understand the true essence. So you got to put it in a package for it to be inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, the Highs. I think the Highs album just on Spotify alone is over 400 million streams.
See, now it's inspiration. And it's not bragging, it's not ego. It would be more fun if somebody else said it, and packaged it up for you so you could stay exactly where you're at with like, I don't care. Because that's inspirational too.
Yeah.
But the second, like Russ teaches, that's important as a part of the course. Like, course is important.
Yeah.
Because like one thing I love about like a Mr. Beast is he teaches.
Yeah.
He's at the top. He's collaborating with the younger guys who could replace him. Very important. Drake is the best at it. Mr. Beast is best too. Lets the ego go. Drake is always the first. He was the first to get on the Migos, the first to get on Waka, first to get on 2 Chainz, first to get on Baby, first to get on everybody. And these people are potentially threats because it is competition.
He's creating a mastermind alliance of people. He's helping. He knows they're going to win, or he can forecast they're going to win. And he wants to be a peer to them. They remember him as, you gave me the sauce when you had it all.
Exactly. When he could be like, man, I ain't about to put him on. Man, he ain't about to have this for free. Because he's not charging these folks.
Yep.
Man, he ain't about to do that. He got on
he's the shit.
No Lie. Very early in 2 Chainz' game. Put us on his tour. But he wasn't sitting there like, man, I ain't about to put him on, man. Yeah. What am I getting out of it? He went and gave Black Boy JB a top 10 record just to work with his producer. Like, I don't know if people put that together. Take Keith. Like, Drake did what was right. He went and gave Black Boy a whole song just because it was his producer that he knew he was about to like work with, like on a deep level, and take Keith's on. But he did what was right. But like working with the younger people, but also teaching is so important. And that's why those are the only reasons why I wanted to extract that, because if these ever do become like clips one day, these are the inspirational moments of like, damn, 400 million streams. Fuck, that's so inspirational. You did that. Now, where were you at 4 years in? Where were you at 4 years in to your journey? What was the date and what was the timeline? Because you're 11 now.
Yeah.
When you dropped,
I mean,
was Life Got Crazy 10 years in?
Life Got Crazy. The Highs came out. When was it? Last year.
It was like August.
That was literally
September.
Almost a decade of being in.
Okay.
When I caught, like, this mic sound is like literally, it's literally like, it's a journey to self. This career. I think really, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, that's what it will feel like. But it's just a journey to my true self. Like, I really feel like almost growing up is everyone thinks it's learning, but it's really unlearning. And like the Mike Stud was exactly who I was, and it was perfectly authentic to who I was then. But there was something in the core of me that I needed to peel back the layers with all the experience I had and everything I've gone through. And I feel as though, I think this homeostasis way of putting it is cool. It's just like a journey to self, and like kind of who I think I'm coming into who I was supposed to be, and that's how it sounds now. In regards to your question about 4 years, like, I will say this, I think one of my biggest strengths is I've always been kind of detached from the results. Not in a negative way. Like, not like, oh, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? It's more so just like, I know I'm gonna will this to what it needs to be, and I'm not necessarily worried about, like, I think it's also a part of my reality. It's just like, I've always been the odd man out in the music and the arts. Like, I'm like this jockey, fratty. That's how I came into it. Like, oh, he's killing it. Like, I kind of, it was relative. You know what I mean? So like, kind of had beginner's luck almost immediately. Like one of the first things I ever did. Like this perfect time. Like if it all happened right now and I was starting right now, everyone's doing what I was doing. At that point, I was like an originator. I was an innovator. I was like, yo, he made this in his room. Like it was 2011. So like, this perfect timing. And dude, my boy Blue has been with me, my next door neighbor, since I was 5 years old. Me and him, as soon as I made a few songs, we literally had no doubt that this was gonna happen. And I don't know why. I don't know why. It never felt far-fetched. We even talked about it like, yo, what level are we at right now? We're gonna be 10 one day. But like, where are we at right now? Like, oh, we're on level 2, like of like fame and success and whatever. Now, the paradigms have shifted a bit of what we would level ourselves and put a level on it, and like what matters, because the fame doesn't really to me.
I have a random question, not to interrupt you. It just popped up in my head. I don't know if you could say it publicly or not, but I have a genuine question. Have you ever ghostwritten for a big artist?
Never.
Because sometimes I hear songs and I'm like, boy, my boy Mike wrote that.
I will say this. I mean, unofficially.
Well, it's always unofficial, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like influenced unofficial.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious because I was listening to an album about a month and a half ago, and I was like, I think my boy Mike might have wrote a song, but it's actually probably not who you think I'm talking about.
I get a lot of these messages or texts from people sometimes.
So I'm not the only one.
Nah.
People think this.
Yeah.
Okay. But
yeah,
just know, for the first time. Actually, I'll say something. Like if me and my best friend Langford had a podcast, we would only talk about like hip hop as if it's a sport. And this is the first time in hip hop history that there's no such thing as a stemi pack. There's nobody who can hand out a stemi pack. It was always Drake, but Drake's stemi ain't what it used to be. Lil Baby was a stemi for a minute. There's no Lil Baby stemi. Roddy Ricch was a stemi. There's no Roddy Ricch stemi. Travis Scott was a stemi. Lil Baby. There's not one person in hip hop right now that can hand out a stemi pack. First time ever. And it might mean because a new sound has to be present, a new producer needs to become like DJ Mustard was a stemi. It doesn't matter if Rihanna got on it or YG. It's going all the way. Mike Will had his little stemi.
Yep.
Right now it's not really present. And when I refer back to the point where I said spend a month in Atlanta, I'm from Atlanta. I created a lot of what's happening in Atlanta. Atlanta had 2 artists at the BET Hip Hop Awards. We haven't created an artist since Gunner, and that was 4 years ago. It's wild how the smaller cities in Alabama and Memphis and North Carolina are producing more than Atlanta. I personally think that there's a lot of gifts that you have in this world that you could save a lot. And when I say you have the ability to go into different worlds, you went into Nashville. I saw you soak up. Like you come from the frat home. Like there's something there. I have a sixth sense in my life of being able to see around the corner of what's next. I've always been able to do it. Just drop the little nugget, and maybe one day, you'll try.
Yeah.
But there's something big. There's a lot you can help with out here in this thing. Not that it might not be your mission. You might be like, bro, that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do in this world. But I'm just dropping it out there.
I don't think you're wrong. It's just like maybe it's the right person just saying, hey, like you guys connect.
You might get a phone call tonight
Yeah.
that stimulates it. You don't know what type of magic is about to happen because we're speaking right now. Like this, you never know. Like something might pop up tonight and you'll be like, Charlie, this crazy thing just happened.
I'm sure. I appreciate you, sir. What a chat. I mean,
That
we've
was
been
interesting.
We've grown so much individually, but I feel as though there's obviously so much more growth ahead. But good to chop it up for real.
It was a good refresh
Reset,
because we'll
yeah.
be able to go 2 years ago now, and then we'll be able to see and we'll be able to kind of track.
This is a totally different talk from a totally different seat than the first one.
Oh yeah, and we're in the same place. But yeah, there's areas you're ahead in though that I got some catching up to do.
Yeah, also vice versa though. I think for sure. Keep doing what you're doing, and you don't need me to tell you, but incredible. Your plans, all the plans are in place for what you desire for your life. Guess that's the last thing I would leave you with, is just like your point. You got one life, right? Like you got to spend this time for really how you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always going to be about everybody else all the time, but what you're doing, putting other people first, is going to come back tenfold. It already is. Like your life is already a fucking story. It's a movie. You know what I mean? So I think that's why it's rooted in such a good place from the core of humanity and what it's about, and just continue to walk that path and continue the how your magic is that ability to fucking let other people see it too. Like you just give them a nudge, be like, yo, that's kind of like where I feel like I am. I'm trying to be like, yo, are you seeing this too?
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, do you see that? You know, like, and I think you kind of did that for me. And I mean, the ripples of the waves that you make are a big part of legacy, right? Like it doesn't even matter if you can quantify it or not,
Mm-hmm.
but you can quantify all the direct people you're helping. We raised this much money, but like your shit's rippling through the universe, all these fucking videos, everything, and then the personal private conversations, like that's what it's about, you know? That's how you talk about success. It's like, what are people that like when no one's around and they got the chance to meet you, what are they saying about you? You know, like that's success to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not about stats and numbers on the board all the time, you know, and you could argue that those are the most important stats, the intangibles. I think you have it all, and I think you just need to continue. You don't even need me to tell you, but putting yourself first will continue to, it's really just putting the world first.
Absolutely.
You know, and your health and everything will follow suit, but you'll be in your perch very soon. I mean, you already are, you're winning, but the winning streak never stops. You know?
Drop the mic.
Never stops. Drop the mic.
That was dope, man.
Yeah, love you, bro.
Love you too, bro.
Yeah, good work.
What a combo.
What a combo.